Welcome to Side Quest and Skill Trees, where healing meets gameplay. So, in every great RPG, the main quest matters, but the side quests are where you gather what you didn't know you needed, like insight, allies, resources, and reps. So, here, side quests are the optional tasks you choose in real life. So, small missions that build momentum without burning you out. And skill trees are the essential skills you level up on. So, emotional regulation, communication, boundaries, rest, courage, and self trust. So, your life actually can play better. This is why we always talk about optional tasks, essential skills. So, let's level up. And with me today, I got my wonderful co host, the one and only King Kai. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. How about yourself?
I feel positive. I feel like maybe today is going to be something that's going to hit people in a different way. And for this saga, we have the relationship saga. How you feeling about that?
I'm feeling relational.
Yes. And there's no better way to be relational than to play an amazing, wonderful game, which is the one and only.
Stardew Valley.
Yes.
Yes, this is a game that I have spent way too much time playing, but it is fun. So I'm gonna just do a new character and new game, and then we can kind of get
Yeah,
the
mate. Start fresh.
yeah. Have you played this before?
Yes. So I have played this before. I put about, I would say 75 to 100 hours in. So I wouldn't say I was like invested the way that other people would normally be invested in Stardew Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I really believe that it gave me the bound world, energy that I needed. And it wasn't too like linear like Animal Crossing is.
Mm-hmm.
This gave me a nice balance of both, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm putting down as our farm, relational farm. And for our favorite thing, boundaries.
Okay, we're starting. We're starting quick. Okay, so before we get into this, we have an overview. Okay, so relationships. Relationships can be many different things.
Yes.
I'm curious. I want people to start thinking about their connection with other people. So friends, families, partners, as the best kind of co-op mode, right? They don't just make the game more fun, they actively boost your stats, right? Especially with mental health and resilience.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you a simple question first. Why do relationships matter?
I think that's just like a fundamental, in choice theory, we talk about the five essential needs, and one of them is love and belonging. And I feel like relationships fall into that fundamental love and belonging sense. And then obviously, as humans, we are very social creatures, and we crave and desire connection with other people. It helps us with our mental health. It helps give us a feeling of support, and yeah, it is kind of one of those quintessential fundamental aspects of life.
Yeah. And I think that we've created so many expectations about relationships because of what we didn't have, because of what we wanted, because what we never did have, and also what people have taught us what we're told what we need to be enough. And so I love this topic because this is truly the co-op mission. And I have grown up all my life being player number two, especially just being the little brother. I was never Sonic. I was always Tails, right? I
Right.
was never Mario. I was Luigi,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I always in my life had this moment of never got to really be player one. So I always knew how to help other people or how to support or make sure that my brother got, crossed the finish line and I helped out, right? So I found my value in being second player or player number two. And now that I'm in my life, I've had to be put in the position of being player one and be told, you got to be player one. So even placement is relationship.
Yeah.
And for the viewers out there, my first question for you, please get your purpose pen and purpose paper out, is I want you to consider, what place did you start in your life? What place did you start in your life? In what place do you see yourself now? Has it changed? Is it changing? And what does that look like? I just want to have that quick mental shift. Just understand what place that you might be in.
Yeah.
Before anything.
And I think that works really well with what we are just getting into here. So with Stardew Valley, the story itself is you are this kind of robotic, working in a cubicle worker, and you need a change. You need a change. You need to get away from this kind of monotony. And so we have this letter from our grandpa that says, if you're reading this, you must be in dire need of change. And the same thing happened to them a long time ago. Lost sight of what mattered most in life, real connections with other people and nature. So I dropped everything and moved to the place I truly belong. And so you've been given the deed to the farm in Stardew Valley, and it is time to go to Stardew Valley and make some connections.
I love this. So I want to start with, can we start with family relationships?
Sure.
And then social relationships.
Yeah.
And then, or hear me out. This might get a little weird. Let's get a little weird too while we're doing this. Or start out with relationships across a lifespan.
Yeah, because relationships are kind of like what we kind of already said. Like there's so many, they're so vast, they vary, and there's so many forms of relationship that it's kind of hard to pinpoint them all down to like specifics. Like you can talk about a relationship in just about any aspect.
And I think we should do it that way. So let's start with childhood bonds, then friendships, then romantic, then family, then social.
Okay.
So let's do it that way.
Yeah.
So let's start with childhood bonds. So how would you describe childhood bonds growing up versus the ones that you see clinically today?
Can you maybe specify a little bit more what you're looking for there?
Yeah. So for me, I'm thinking about how I experience childhood bonds versus how I clinically look at childhood bonds.
Okay. So kind of what the personal experience looks like versus what you might experience or see as the clinical like therapist working with a child in the relationships that they have. I mean, I feel like a lot of that's that kind of boils down to, the different. It's kind of hard to look at it from a non-clinical. Like, obviously, we have the different stages of development and things like that, and you think about like how connections are made with children based on the age that they're at, and you can look back and see that, with your own life. But obviously, in that moment, you're not thinking about those things because you don't know about them yet. So I feel like that's kind of hard to, at least for me, I'm finding that difficult to kind of to express, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think what I noticed in my childhood bonds, I always connected over childhood bonds over the things we shared together. It was never the actual development we shared. So it was like, oh, you do baseball? I do baseball. You do comic book? I do comic book. You play in mud? I play in mud. Right? So it was always over a thing did we find relationship valuable? And clinically now, I see play has been the identity maker in childhood bonds. I don't believe that it was ever about what my identity is, what my pronouns were, what my beliefs and preferences are. It was always about how how do we play together? How do we share together? How do we actively engage with each other's lifestyle? And then it became, oh, what's your name?
Right.
Right. Um, it was important to know that I was okay with strangers in the beginning, where I had to be taught that strangers were dangerous.
Right.
Right. Strangers never meant danger to me until I was told that strangers were danger. So I really find that the innocence of childhood bonds is something that when we grow up, we learn that it's not always innocent, which, do you see that happening now in your clinical settings where you have to reteach or reframe what innocence in friendship looks like?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, yeah, that's both one of the most like endearing, but also one of the worst, like the most disheartening things about childhood, right? Is that we do have this sense of innocence and this sense of, we can be friends with everybody and anybody. Like I always tell people. So my best friend and I, we've been friends for 34 years, and we met first day of kindergarten, and it literally was, we were at the bus stop, and one of us, I can't remember who it was, one of us went up to the other and said, hey, you want to be my friend? And the other one said, sure. And that was our friendship started. Like that's what happened.
Mm.
And obviously since then it's just been 34 years of friendship, but that was just how it started. And it's strange that because it's just like that level of innocence.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then there's that kind of what you were talking about with like strangers and what we see as adults and what we see like clinically versus what the child sees because they are just experiencing the world and getting to know it.
Mm. And I think childhood bonds and friendships are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And people argue with me about that, and I stand 10 toes down on that. Childhood bonds are not friendships. Friendships are not childhood bonds. And I think by the age of, I would say 7, 8, you start realizing that childhood bonds are not friendships. A lot of times there are moments where your friendships do betray you, right? Mm-hmm. You don't add up and own up to what's happening in your relationships. Sometimes people do let you down, and you find that out when you start getting older, that we actually have differences. And friendships become less of a bond and more of a protection.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really think that it's important to that friendships are fostered through social skills, which is why when we have mental illnesses and we have mental illness diagnosis, those are important because a lot of times our mental illnesses take us away and remove us from social norming and remove us from social skills that would have otherwise made us feel more included.
Right.
So I think friendships are very important because it's a trial and error of your own mental aptitude and your own application of identity.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I like kind of what you said with the whole, it kind of takes you away from normalizing, I guess, in a sense. Like there's and that obviously that falls kind of into like the social aspect and the sociological aspect of things of the social stigma around like mental illness and what it means to have a diagnosis and what that can do in terms of impact on like perception and how that can impact the friendships that you can and cannot have and how that evolves over time. And I think that that's obviously been something with like our generation that has been a big kind of a big upheaval in terms of how we address that and being more comfortable with people having different diagnoses and being more vulnerable and open about that stuff. It's one reason why like I'm very open about the fact that I'm diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder and ADHD, because I want to normalize it, and I want to feel like people can be normalize their own diagnoses and what they feel, to strengthen those bonds, strengthen those relationships, and be able to have deeper connections with people.
And I hate to say this, but I feel like in today's generation, they're almost weaponizing their own mental illnesses, and that really upsets me, because the clinical use of these terms were to provide a clarity and an open space to hold space for people that needed the ability to normalize, right, and to be reintegrated into society. It wasn't meant to push people away and push people in a way that made them like an exclusive club, right? Like, I learned that I had this compulsion because I needed to feel safe. So when I feel this, it's not to push you away, it's to know that, oh, I don't feel safe with them. Let me reorient this relationship so that I can feel in more control of myself if I'm going to be around them.
Right. And I think that's something that is a very important thing to distinguish. Control over yourself, not control over the relationship.
Yes. So we can agree right now, for childhood bond, it was all about bonding with development and attachment styles, right? It was all about, I'm here, you're here, that's all we have, this is the bond, right? It was very innocent. It was based upon innocence and presence, right? The safety, attachment, emotional development. Friendship was more about fostering social skills and more identity formation. Oh, you treat me like this because I'm a this. Oh, you treat me like this because of this. I treat you like this because of this, right? Friendships foster how my identity and my social skills create what I see as norming, right? You can agree with that.
Yeah.
The next thing would be romantic partnerships.
Right.
So this is where intimacy, romance, and sex become their own thing. So when you think of romantic partnerships, I think of them as adult relationships. And I think people may not agree with me, because you can't have romantic relationships while you're under the age of 18. Can you? Is that real? Kyle, answer this very hard question that I don't want to answer.
I understand your viewpoint on why that would be a point. I do think that there is this. It's almost like how do I want to express it? It's like almost like having a trial run, right? Like it's you're trying to figure out the ins and outs, metaphorically, please.
I was like, what?
You're trying to figure out, kind of the how everything works, and how to kind of manage and navigate all of these new kind of feelings and these new experiences that you're starting to have, and like, how do you make sense of it all? And so obviously a relationship can help you make sense of it, but I kind of agree. It's like you're kind of like trial running, what that looks like for you, and trying and still in a sense of discovery. And I mean, honestly, I feel like we're in a sense of discovery for most of our lives, but
come on, don't stop that.
I feel like, as somebody who didn't get diagnosed with ADHD till 33 years old, I have definitely continued to discover what it means to be me, even though I am, twice the age that I was, when I wanted to become a therapist. So, but yeah, I think it's definitely like kind of like.
I feel like you avoided my question.
I think that there is there is merit to having relationships in those younger years because it's a sense of education, learning, experience, and kind of discovery. But I do also understand the viewpoint that they are not so much adult relationships in the same sense that we think about, like, once we get married or once we have long-term partners or people that we, have a much deeper connection with once we understand who we are as people.
Okay. The reason, okay, I'll give you that right now. We're gonna go deeper about this
Okay.
because I don't expect someone under the age of 18 to understand romance.
Okay.
I do expect someone that has the ability. Okay, actually, let me divide this up. I'll divide and conquer this. So I do believe there's a difference between romance and intimacy. Do you believe that children or teenagers have the ability to experience romance and intimacy?
I guess you said that you have different definitions for the two. What are your two different
Yeah.
definitions?
So for me, romance is external, intimacy is internal. So I can make romantic gestures, I can make romantic remarks, behaviors, but intimacy is something internalized. It's how I understand vulnerability, security, safety, how I'm able to experience myself within.
Okay. And
Right.
in an aspect of that is sharing that kind of personal internal relationship with someone, though.
Right. So if I had to make it simple, right? If I had to make it simple, if I met someone on the side of the street and they asked me a question about this, I would say love is in the middle, and love expressed outside is romance. Love expressed inside is intimacy. I would
Okay.
I would keep it that simple. And then I would then add, like, there are some cultures where you can get married at the age of 12 and 14. There are beliefs that. So, like, those people, those kids in my mind that got married at 12, 14 years old, did they experience love, intimacy, romance, right?
Yeah.
So I also believe there is a cultural awareness to that. But as far as, I guess, westernized approaches, um, I don't expect a child to understand romance or intimacy, but I do expect them to understand love. And love is an expression of self, right?
Yeah.
So I would keep it limited at that point right there. I don't want to give a child the complete power to control their entire romantic and intimate domain at the age of 14. I don't see that being healthy.
Right.
When knowing that they have to live with parents, they have to live with communities and people and school and all these other communities that don't always authentically let them express their own identity. They're in a state of compliance
Yeah.
and companionship. I don't expect them to have that type of ability. I wouldn't want to put that on them,
Yeah.
right? Because when things go wrong, where do they go?
Right. Yeah. And I think that's an absolutely good point. Like, especially again, we're talking about a time period where you are bombarded with so much change, so many things that it can be overwhelming and really a lot to kind of digest. And so, to also tack on just another aspect of things makes it, it's hard to kind of figure those things out and learn those things when you have so much that you're trying to still figure out about yourself and the world and everything. So yeah, makes sense.
And so, what do you feel is missing in romantic partnerships?
In the sense of the still talking about like kind of that teenage age, or just in general?
Technically, I would say childhood, adult, and childhood, adolescence, and adult. What do you think most romantic partnerships are missing? Right, so this is the third phase.
I think the thing that I have seen the biggest, maybe not thing missing, but definitely the biggest barrier has been proper communication.
Communication. Oh, okay. Wait a second. Communication. You said the C word. So, some people would argue and be like, no, attachment styles, Kyle. How dare you not acknowledge attachment styles? My love language is material and acts of service. So, what are you telling me right now?
Is that not a form of communication?
No comment.
But yeah,
I love the fact that you said
that. What, that it's a form of communication?
Yeah. That's all it's missing. Is communication. Most kids act the way they do the things they do. Most adolescents act the way they do. Most adults act the way they do because they have not communicated their needs, or they have not made a boundary on the limit of how long that communication should be endured.
Yeah. Or I think the other thing is, lacking some of the proper tools or like vocabulary to communicate. I feel like that's another thing I run into a lot, especially like talking with clients and like not necessarily doing like couples therapy, but talking with clients about, their relationships and communication. A lot of it boils down to lack of shared vocabulary, shared language that you, and this is kind of going a little off track, but like in terms of communication, like one of the big things that I always talk to people about is like the different types of communication and communication styles. We talk about like everyone knows what verbal communication is, what we say. Everyone knows kind of, or at least has an idea of what nonverbal communication is, how we present ourselves and our body language and things like that. A lot of people don't think about paraverbal communication and how we say things has a huge impact. And I like to use the one, what is it? It's a sentence where if you change the inflection on each word, it completely changes the meaning of that sentence every single time. So the sentence is, I didn't say I killed them. I didn't say that I killed them. I didn't say that I killed them. I didn't say that I killed them. I didn't say I killed them. I didn't say I killed them. I didn't say I killed them.
Right.
That's paraverbal communication 101 right there. Like that is
right. Oh my God.
I love that. Like that's my favorite example to use every time.
Say it one more time so people can catch that.
Yeah.
One more time.
So if you emphasize each word, it changes the meaning of that sentence. So, I didn't say I killed them. I didn't say that I killed them. I didn't say that I killed them. I didn't say I killed them. I didn't say I killed them. I didn't say I killed them. Every single one of those is a different story behind it. I love it. But that is paraverbal communication, and that is like when we talk about relationships, that is, and the studies have been done, and they find that verbal communication only accounts for, I'm not going to know the numbers exactly, but it's small, 5% of what we communicate to people, whereas paraverbal and nonverbal communication takes up the rest of the 95%. And so when you go into a conversation or you go into a relationship with that mentality of thinking about like what you're saying obviously has meaning, but how you're saying it and how you present yourself when you're saying it means way more, then that changes everything, and it kind of starts giving more context to things. So yeah, it always kind of blows people's minds when we dive into paraverbal communication.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. And so I think grounding with this is that with romantic partnerships, we have to understand that our communication is meant to be understood, but it's also to give us the boundaries needed to ensure our own emotional integrity. And I think we don't take the time out sometimes to think about in romantic partnerships where does my emotional integrity start and stop with people. I tell this all the time. I really do have the capacity to love someone from A to Z. But sometimes I've been loving people that are only A through D, only A through K, and I don't stop where they stop. And so I go beyond their actual capacity, and I feel like I might be overwhelming them, or I might feel like I'm not being enough, right? Because I didn't respect the capacity of the relationship. And I think a lot of times we really need to sit down and acknowledge that, because there are moments where loving someone in their limitation is how you can actually respect the relationship. So I think romantic partnerships sometimes cross boundaries naturally because we want to give our whole self.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop there on the romantic partnerships. We're going to move to the next one. Okay. So we got childhood bonds, friendships, romantic partnerships. Now, family dynamics. Whew. This is the one where I feel like is one of the hardest, because ongoing family relationships can provide support, conflict, and also just a sense of belonging throughout life. It's amazing how when you feel like you belong to a family and your family has a culture and you have a matriarch and a patriarch and you have this totem of family and ancestral awareness, you can go through life on a different level of power and awareness. And I think in this moment in our generation, we're kind of dismantling what family means by like we're valuing the fragmentation of family and not really honoring the narrative of family, which is very different in this moment.
Yeah.
And
I would
go ahead.
contend that I don't know that I would say we dismantle
I know. Oh, contend. Okay, go ahead.
but I would say that I feel like we're redefining it, what it means to me, because I think that there is this obviously growing movement of like family doesn't necessarily mean blood, and I think that so I would say maybe redefining, not necessarily dismantling.
All right, so I'm gonna be the person that people are gonna like in this. So what's been happening recently is all these people are saying, well, family ain't gotta be blood. Family ain't gotta be blood. It's who you choose and who chooses you. That's great. However, what I'm finding in these moments is it's always great when it's convenient, when you don't want to confront what's actually happening in your family.
Okay.
They're saying that as a reaction to family not being honest, not exposing the wrongdoings, not dismantling the hurtful lineage, the generational trauma that's happening. Because I wasn't accepted, because I was displaced, because I was rejected, because I was not seen, because of me being the black sheep, they go and make their own communities. Is community family? Is family community?
Is it?
How do we really define this? Because I think for me, I'm sensing more fragmentation, and they're overlooking the actual. Because even if you make a fragmented family, right? What's the narrative? What's the family culture? Is it based upon all rejection, or is it based upon this narrative, right? Like, just because I fragment into another family, I'm still bringing in the lineage of what I just experienced into this new family. I haven't done the work. So now I'm going into a whole nother community with the same exact problems. I didn't actually create a healing from that. And now I'm just in here masking what I have not dealt with, and I'm just assimilating into this community, but I'm not being accountable, and the same issues might rise up. So I feel like we're not being accountable to the blood we come from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's starting to make the fragmented family actually in more danger because now the community is based upon estrangement and not actual community.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Hot take. It's a hot take.
I
I'm just saying. I just, but I'm not for this whole like family is what you make it. I'm not about that. I'm
mhm.
not. I'm not. I'm
I
not.
I I see what you're saying, and I think that there is absolutely truth to what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
And
Keep contending though. Keep contending. Keep contending.
I think that there's a balance, and you're gonna find this with me a lot. Like I am all about where's the middle ground, where's the balance, where do we
Oh,
find that?
gray
So
Kyle.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's all. I'm all
mm,
about that. And so
yeah.
the big thing then that I would ask in those situations though is, you know, have you done what you need to do or what you feel have you, and this is going to kind of go into choice theory, have you made all of the choices and done everything in your power to try to address those things that you're talking about, and still at that point it's no longer in your hands, it's out of your hands at that point. And that it's because the other people are making choices and they are going to have to deal with the consequences of those choices that are maladaptive choices. And so where that balance lies, I think, falls into what have you done? Because perfect example, not necessarily but from family, but I had a client that was talking about how their partner was really worried about them coming into therapy because they thought that that just meant the therapist that I was going to tell them that they needed to end their relationship. And I was just like, no,
Mm,
that is not my job. My job is not to sit here and try to, you know, separate you and your partner. My job here is to
mm,
help you process through what's going on, try to work on skills to improve your guys' communication, try to help so that you guys are feeling like you are making progress. If after all of that work you're noticing that there's been no progress, that's a different conversation. But we don't try to just run away from the problem. We try to
mm,
work on it
mhm,
first and only leave that kind of mentality for a last resort when you have done the work and you have really tried. And so that's kind of where I would still make that distinction of, you know, what family means and what does it look like and how do we define it based on our experiences.
And I know that what I'm saying is going to hurt some people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people didn't have a choice between, you know, blood and like some people may have grew up orphan, right? Like
Yeah.
you may not know who your biological parents are. You may not know like the origin of your family is. I mean, hell, black culture alone, like I cannot go back. I've heard stories of literally people like, oh yeah, they came from this ship and this Viking community and this Irish family from this place in Italy and like this is where I can't tell you anywhere on the map since from 1923,
Mm-hmm.
if that, right? So I understand that there's some harshness to this,
Right.
but when it comes to family dynamics and relationships, the goal is understanding the strength of your movement is based upon your belonging,
Mm-hmm.
which is why the communities are so important, which is why people make fragmented communities. But I think the emotional accountability in this, a lot of people are glorifying fragmentation
Mm.
because they don't want to disrupt the disgusting or the negative timeline of their own family of what happened because of the fear of dismantling something they came from. The
Mm-hmm.
fear is because you intrinsically do love your family.
Mm.
You just hate what they did to you.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where it sits,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? You hate that they did this to you, that they put you in this position, that you had to do this by yourself because of how they did not form and protect you,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And bringing part of that, you might dismantle something and then you might have no family. That's what they're afraid of. But
Mm-hmm.
that's a childhood wound,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a childhood wound. That's a
Yeah.
childhood fear. So I think the family dynamic thing is very tricky.
It is.
Um, and I think we also define relationships based upon how our family has taught us.
Mm-hmm.
Like I grew up always being player two, so I needed to find someone that was a player one in my life,
Right.
right? I did, and then I didn't expect someone to give me the controller first. So in my relationships, when I used to date, I used to typically find women that would be very strong, very abrasive up front, very decisive, and then I'd be like, I'll help. And they'd be like, what? So, so it was like, that's where I was. But my dad taught me though, hey, you got to provide, you got to take care of, you got to nurture, you got to be a father, you got to be, and I was like, okay, to be a man, I got to do all these things. But I can't say I'm player two unless I had the job, the money. I can pay for this. I can support this. I can be a dad. I had to have all these things together so I could be player two.
Mm-hmm.
But I still looked for player one, even though I had to act like I was player one,
Right.
which is so interesting.
It
so,
is.
so it was a very interesting dynamic of I could feel belonging based upon how I was invited.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's very important to talk about as a dynamic, especially as a man. It's a very unique dynamic.
Right.
So are we good about the family dynamic? We've got two more.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's move.
Okay.
Move on.
All right. So start with childhood bonds, about the innocence, emotional development, attachments. Then friendships, about peer relationships, foster social skills, and identity formation. Then we went to romantic partnerships, understanding that love is the expression of romance and intimacy, how I love outwardly and how I love inwardly, and how adults can create shared life goals and commitment, right? Romantic partnerships. Then we got to family dynamics, where the sense of belonging provides the length and the growth of your wellness, right? Now we're getting into work relationships. Now, this one is a unique one. Work relationships are unique because work relationships are professional interactions that actually influence your job satisfaction and your career development. And this is a hard one because of how our economy is, failing. So
Right.
I couldn't think of another word. My brain was like failing, say failing.
Yeah.
Thank you, brain. And so our professional relationships, to me, there's three levels. There's superficial, there's realist, and then there's dream work relationships, right? Dream work relationships, real work relationships, and superficial work relationships. That's how I see it. But I'm wondering how you see work relationships.
I feel like that. I mean, just you saying that kind of makes it sound like that makes sense in my head, and I actually kind of would agree with it. I feel like work relationships, they are tricky because, like you said, like they're professional, but then like there's some level of like personal to them as well, or that can evolve from them, and they can obviously evolve then into friendships, and that comes with its own kind of. Then we start getting into some of the questions about like kind of ethical like boundaries and behaviors revolving around the professionalism and everything. So they can be very tricky, and but then fall into different kind of categories, like you were saying, the superficial, the realistic, the dream ones, and that makes sense to me. Just hearing the names of them, like it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and I think for me, when I was working in the nonprofit sector of things, I noticed so many superficial relationships. And it was interesting how I saw people work the room to get the next position. And I was like, oh, that's what I got to do? So, like, I did it, but I got tired.
Yeah.
Because I realized I wasn't going up the ladder. I was just spinning really fast.
Yeah.
And I thought having more goals and tasks given to me meant that I was being more respected. But it was just the fact that I was just a hard worker and they knew that they could rely on me. Yeah. So I drank the Kool-Aid and I gave them everything they wanted. They gave me what I wanted, and my salary was still at the same. You know, hard work didn't pay off,
Yeah.
and I think that bridges into networking and then the real work relationship. So I found through my networking, I found so much value because I can network over similar interests in a professional space, and I could express my expertise in a way that helped me value my own identity. And I think the real work relationships is what happened, right? Like once I hit to this level of success, I was around other people that had their own success, so that we weren't really worried about our performative or our performance. We were worried about how real we were about the work and our own identity.
Right.
And it was only now in my life that I'm actually finding the value of my networking, because now I can go to other therapists that actually I know do the work, and we can have talks without putting our therapist hat on, or I'm able to be mentored as a result of that too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I realized that I was good at being a follower, but I wasn't good at being mentored, and I had to learn that. But I had to get to the level of success to find that it wasn't about me going up the ladder. It was about me finding the proper mentor. And even universities today are starting to focus on heavy mentorship, rather than actual positions.
Yeah.
And I think that is what kind of allowed me to have more of a real work relationship. Is I'm seeing that my influence and my career development and my satisfaction was based upon the mentorship that was offered to me.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I would there was something that popped up in my brain, but my ADHD brain when it popped it back out. So I'm trying to remember what that was. But yeah, I feel like I saw a lot of that same kind of thing that you're talking about. You saw like the nonprofits, like this kind of performative uh, uh, relationships, performative professionalism, performative kind of things. Just with this mentality of, yeah, if you do the performative stuff, you will benefit, you will be rewarded for it. And time again, seeing that that is not how that works, and that's not the case. Um, and so, I guess, yeah, what do you say to people who are kind of experiencing that, and trying to help them heal kind of their professional relationship and relationship with work and being a professional?
Yeah, I think when I teach my therapist, like when they take my like master supervision work, I teach them that I'm trying to make sure that you become a competent therapist, a healthy therapist, and a worldly graced therapist. And I always say that therapists are divided in three ways: how they morally experience themselves, how they're ethically experiencing themselves, and then how they are clinically seeing themselves. And unfortunately, there are three different worlds in that. And the sweet spot is being right in the center. And the last work relationship is dream work relationship. So there are people that you work with that may not have a number to it or a price to it, but they're people that you dream and talk about ideas and concepts with. And those people are really important to have in your life because they allow you to experience work without limitation. And it's important to have people that you dream with, because a lot of times you're stuck in a performative executional role. And so you don't get a chance to really talk about yourself outside of your own competency. And I think having a dream work relationship is very important to foster. So yeah, I don't, unfortunately for me, I've been blessed with the ability to bring both my dream and my work together. So I'm doing the same thing at the same time, right? Even with you, right? I'm doing my dream work with you. I'm doing my professional work with you. and I'm also doing my superficial work with you. All three are important, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, we're having fun. Yes, we're living our dreams, but also, I'm also making sure that you're getting your hours met so you can get what you need to live to move forward,
Right.
right? Like, we're hitting all three, and it doesn't take away from the relationship. The transparency is the currency,
Mm-hmm.
right? The
Absolutely.
transparency is the currency.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And yeah, I was gonna I was gonna jokingly ask, like, is our work relationship a dream relationship then?
You know, it's really all three. It
It
really
is.
is.
It's all three. So yeah, no, and it's nice to hear that too. I think that that's just, yeah, it's kind of the thing that we all kind of hope and want to strive for, and very much like I think we all kind of fall into that same um, mindset, because I mean that's ingrained in it sociologically. It's been ingrained in us. You know, you work hard, you do that, you'll be successful, and it's just like, no, that's not reality. That's not how that works. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that as well, and in dismantling that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so real. And the last thing is social networks. So it's about maintaining connections with friends and community that can enhance well-being in later life. So this is almost more about end of life stage, right? So the childhood bonds, you don't really have control over that. You're born into the place you're in, and you make develop as you go. Friendships, it's peer relationships. You're fostering social skills, and you're learning your identity in your friendships. Romantic partnerships is about the commitment, right? The involvement of intimacy, love, commitment, shared life goals. Then you got the family dynamic, right? Where it's the sense of belonging and the support in conflict, right? It's that family. Then you got the work relationship, the superficial, the real work relationship, and then the dream work relationship. And then lastly, this is the social network. This is how your well-being is later in life after the job is done, when you retire, right? When the commitment is no longer about how good you are in the commitment. It's about, what do you have left after all this is done?
Yeah.
What do you have left? Who is really there? Who is really taking care of you rather than you taking care of the relationship? At some point in your life, you will not be able to take care of other people, and they are going to have to take care of you. Who are they? What's the relationship? Who are these people?
Yeah.
Is it your kids? Right? Is it? Do you really want them to have that responsibility over you?
Right.
And unfortunately, as therapists, we have to really talk about this honestly with people.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, I think that's a great point. And you know, before this job, I worked in the kind of, I worked for the area office on aging, and so I was working with individuals who were, you know, the whole point of our program was to help keep them independent while they were aging, and that's to your point. It's just like the amount of people who didn't have any support. They couldn't rely on their kids. They couldn't rely on people that they thought that they had known for years and years because of X, Y, or Z reason. Was too many. And so yeah, so kind of having that question and answering that for yourself is like, yeah, who really can you rely on, and who do you have within your support network? And that's a big part of kind of my everyday sessions with clients. I think I've talked about the community meeting that I do with clients, but the last question, you know, at the beginning of session is, who can you go to if you need extra support today? And I've had a couple of times where clients would say, I don't know. And I will ask them, I'm just like, well, we need to, let's talk about that, because support and having somebody that you can go to for support is such a crucial part to not only just your mental health, but just a sense of belonging, a sense of relationship, a sense of community, or whatever it may be.
Mm. And I think this is kind of nods to, like, we go through all these relational developments only to, at the end, look at how well have we loved people and how well have we loved ourselves?
Hmm.
That's what this comes down to.
Yeah.
And you can't tell a child that. You can't tell a teenager that. You might be able to tell an adult that,
Hmm.
but they're so focused on the objective of their own suffering or the feeling of needing to be enough or to find player number one, right? Because I've been player number two, right? Eventually, at the end of it all, there won't even be a controller,
Hmm.
right? And so I'm hoping that someone will take my controller for me instead of finding another controller. And I think that's kind of the hardest part about social relationships is that it really is valuing how intentional were you about connecting.
Yeah. Absolutely. And at the end of the day, like, yeah, that becomes such an important aspect of all of this. So, um, one thing, and this is a question for you specifically, with regard to these different stages of relationship and stuff. Um, I don't feel like we really talked about it too much, or if we did, it was if we did, it was minor. Where does your relationship with yourself fall into these?
Mm. If I had to look at it on the developmental track, I'm currently in my okay, trick question. You almost got me, Kyle. You almost got me. So you almost got me in the third quarter here. So I would say that I am actually I'm in the friendships, romantic, family, work phase right now. If I had to choose one, I'm probably in heavily family dynamic. I am searching for a place to belong. I'm searching for the feeling of belonging. I am searching for the feeling of security of how I belong to other people. That's where I would technically be.
Okay.
And those also affect my romantic, work, and friendship. So I think the family dynamic is how am I seen, how am I viewed in my community? I see my community as family. And that's also a Black cultural thing as well. Like I don't just see me in my intermediate family. I think about what position am I in my community.
Right.
And that heavily weighs on my wellness.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's a trick question.
A very trick question.
Because I mean, the your relationship to yourself at the core and basic principle is ever changing. So there really isn't like a place where it falls in terms of like, you know, normal. I don't want to say normal development, but your relationship with yourself, what it means to be you, and discovering yourself, as I've kind of talked about in this very episode, is always changing. You're always finding new things out about yourself. You're always grieving older versions of yourself. You are always kind of, you know, biologically and metaphorically changing. So there's a sense that it's always there, and so that relationship is also an important one to remember and to make sure that you're engaging in. And obviously, you know, therapy is a big part of that too. That's a whole kind of our whole point.
Yeah.
Is like, you know, let's work on.
And that's
your
what therapy
relationship
does.
with yourself. Yeah, 100%.
Yes, and I think that's what I think that's what's so important is that as a therapist, I am professionally understanding that building a sense of belonging within yourself so that you can find belonging in your own community is the goal, right? When clients are finally done and they're terminated and they're moving on, I tell them in the beginning of the consultation, my goal is not to stay with you. I hope you grow out of me. I hope you see what you don't need from me anymore. I hope you can name that,
Yeah.
right? I feel more hurt when clients don't come back and don't say anything because I didn't build enough trust with you to let you feel like you can say, hey, we're done.
Yeah.
So in your real life, do you never say goodbye to people?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
And that is such a key point that I think a lot of people struggle with. And I try to make that a point of things that I bring up with clients too, of just like, hey, if there's ever a point where you don't think this is working, or you think that, you know, I got something wrong, or I misunderstood something, or, you know, you feel like this isn't a good fit and you want someone else, tell me. I don't take that personally. My job is to make sure that you are getting the help and the services that are going to work for you. And if my specific style and orientation and everything like that does not fit, then that's okay. Like that's part of this. That's the point.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people, like, they'll be like, yeah, no, I've seen like 5 or 6 different therapists and just feel like I have, you know, it's just this, it's not going to work. And I have to tell them, like, you know, yeah, it's frustrating that you have to retell your story over and over again. It sucks that you have to do that, and I wish it wasn't that way. But the reality is that you're gonna have to work until you find the person whose style fits for you and makes sense. And because there's
Yes.
so many different interventions, there's so many different theories and orientations that can take a while. And again, that's exhausting. I don't want to like play down the fact that that is exhausting. It's overwhelming, and it can be a lot to handle. And so,
Mm-hmm.
always telling people, like, go at the pace you need to, but if you need to take a break, you need, you know, say, and come back a year later, or try to find someone else a year later, like, do what you need to. But I always tell people, I'm like, you know, you have a primary care physician for your physical health. You have somebody that you see on a regular basis, you know, yearly, every 6 months or whatever, for your physical health. Why wouldn't you have something like that for your mental health?
Exactly. I appreciate you naming that, and I hope that our viewers listen to what relationship do they really need right now in their life, right? What relationship do they need right now in their life to feel like they have enough and they're excited for more? That whole no new friends thing is so wild because as human beings, we're always developing.
Yeah.
The friends I needed when I was 12 are not the friends I needed at 36.
Right.
So, and I hope it has changed.
Yeah.
So, I hope for you viewers today, I hope you challenge yourself to really think about what do you need. That's your side quest for today. The side quest is to think about and write out what friends you needed back then and what friends you need today and what friends you need looking forward.
Yeah. And I would even maybe add on there, you know, what about that change, or what has changed, and then what about that change is meaningful to you? Like, what is it that it means to you?
Yeah. And the skill tree, so that's the side quest, right? That's the optional task. And then the skill tree here is, I would love for you to write out the skill set here is to actually define the things you do to be a good friend, or what are the skills that you do to make sure that you have good relationships. What do you actually do? Some people say showing up is enough. Is it?
Yeah, that's a question that you need to ask yourself. 100%.
So work on that skill. And once again, thank you all so much for side quests and skill trees. And remember, level up. I don't like that. That was stupid. All right, don't end it yet. Don't end it yet. Keep it going. Don't edit it out. Don't edit this out. This is still in the party. You gotta think of something cooler. But yep. Cue the outro. The end.
Fantastic. That was the best.
Level up.
Level up.
Level up. I think level up should be in there, but damn, that was not cool. Slam dunk. You're on fire. Boom chakalaka.
He must be butter because he's on a roll.
God, I'll work on that.
All
Jesus.
right.
Oh, oh, that's gonna be funny on the thing.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
God.